Scott, I'm going to have difficulty pronouncing your surname, and I'm so sorry. Franicevic. Come forward, please.
Kia ora, Madam Mayor and councillors. Firstly, I'd like to take the opportunity on behalf of the Waimakariri LEC to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. We understand obviously this can be quite a drawn out process for you guys, so we do appreciate the time taken to hear our submission. Firstly, we'd like to compliment the council on the extensive promotion of the long-term plan and the engagement process around it. There was extensive coverage online and in libraries, etc. So that was something that was really well done. However, we have serious concerns about how the draft document is presented to the public and the lack of simple information about proposed cuts and other proposals within the long-term plan. It needs to be remembered that all of Christchurch City's residents are stakeholders of the long-term plan, and many seldom engage with the City Council. My question for you all is why spend so much producing this document and printing it when most stakeholders would struggle to get any sort of informed view, even if they read the whole document. Most stakeholders don't care about the city's debt track or how much money the city is spending in each budget area. What they do care about is how much their rates are going up and whether or not you're putting that set of lights, repairing that footpath, or taking the chlorine out of the water in their area. That's what they care about. Well, I can see an attempt has been made with that, with the bubble technology that has been used on the website. I'd argue that it's still very obtuse to most stakeholders. I'll tell you about a conversation that I had with a relative of mine who is intellectually disabled, and she asked me why the City Council was closing libraries. Wasn't quite sure where she'd gotten that from, but apparently she'd heard it. Now, she's a heavy user of several of the libraries, but there is no way that she could get a simple answer from your website or the consultation documents about this, let alone place a submission and let you folks know just how much that values to her and what it means for her day to go to the library. This is the issue with cuts, is not only does it often impact those who are least able to speak out about it, but often it is also an issue of council messaging where there is a lot of misinformation that does the rounds and only further upsets people. As part of the Labour movement, we're opposed in principle to the sale of city assets. Looking at the list of properties that the council is proposing to dispose of, we believe some could be utilised for social housing or for emergency accommodation. We request that council seriously look at the suitability of these properties for this purpose before any disposal. New Zealand is currently in a housing crisis, and it is the responsibility of both local and central government to take all practical steps they can to solve it. We're deeply concerned by proposed cuts to community facilities. We heard just before about Wharenui Pool, but another one that I mentioned that seems a bit bizarre is the Riccarton Bus Lounge. It seems to our LEC that council is unsure of its strategic priorities, because on one hand they're declaring a climate change and saying that, a climate emergency, and that everything should be looked at through the lens of climate change. On the other hand, we're proposing to cut infrastructure that is designed to encourage the use of public transport and low carbon transport. They just don't seem to go together. We believe that council needs to take a bigger priority of climate change and more seriously lobby relevant partners, especially on the Greater Christchurch Regional Partnership, to be investing stronger in public transport in our region, especially for us out in Waimakariri, where, as the roads out in Belfast and out there, they're absolutely horrific with cars. It'd be fantastic if we had some rail that connected us up to Rangiora. We also ask that the council investigate dropping the UAGC. Current rating models are inequitable. It is important that there is better transparency of how ratepayer money is being spent and greater consideration of what the community benefit is from that spending. An example I give is I've recently started volunteering for the Citizens Advice Bureau. I found it bizarre to find out that they only receive $25,000 a year in council funding. Considering the amount of service and benefit they bring to our communities, it seems bizarre that we don't prioritise funding, because again, it's the very groups who benefit most from these that City Council often doesn't communicate with and doesn't hear from. With that said, the final one we would just like to add there is we're absolutely ecstatic that Council has finally prioritised Three Waters. There's been significant underinvestment in this area over a number of years, and a number of concerns for the council previously and in the media has been about underinvestment in water infrastructure, especially over in Akaroa, for example. But that said, just thank you for the opportunity for speaking.
Thank you. I know that Sam's desperate to ask you a question, but we've come to the end of the allocated time, so I'll let you off the hook.
You're letting me off the hook?
Thank you.
No problem. I'm sure he's got my email contact, so I'm sure he can send me an email and ask me that question, couldn't he?
Thanks very much.
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
we're just going to
Feel free
adjourn
to,
now
mate.
for...
Thank you.
No?
Sorry, Bronwyn Haywood's is